Hello and welcome to Access Paranormal. My name's Jamie Williams. Joining me in the studio as usual is my co-host Jonathan Sullivan.
Hi Jamie.
And also a good friend of ours, Lee Arnold.
Hi Jamie.
Hi Lee. Now tonight you are going to be a lively one, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Because we're only on for, I think we're most about 15 to 20 minutes altogether chatting.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is a legend who I reckon is going to be a legend.
Yeah, I do.
Is Nigel Bach, and if nobody knows who Nigel Bach is, they will do later on, because he's the Tom Riley in the films on, what's it called?
Amazon Prime.
Yeah. And they are Bad Ben series.
Yeah.
Now I think there's 7 or 8 of them in the series at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah.
And if nobody's watched them, they're a must.
Got to.
They're not serious.
No.
Just so to make sure the paranormal investigations and things like that.
Yeah.
Kind of paranormal, spooky kind of things. Spoof kind of films, but they are fantastic.
Funny.
Absolutely love them.
Brilliant.
Have you watched any of them yet, Lee?
No, I haven't.
Oh, no.
No,
that's why I did it.
Yeah, I only found out tonight, so I will be having a watch of those.
I had to do that, Lee, because every time I catch it out, don't I?
You certainly do. Yeah.
But no, I mean, we've watched them, so I don't know who Lee is, but anyway.
Come on, just carry on.
Yeah. But I mean, we were telling Lee about them as well, and they are brilliant shows. They're superb to watch.
Really good.
Well worth it.
And we've done an interview with him, haven't we? And he's fantastic.
Brilliant.
I mean, you're listening to this show, you've got no choice now, unless you turn the radio off, but you're not to, because he's on in a bit.
He is.
And his interview was brilliant.
Absolutely superb.
He's hilarious.
And anyone that's seen the films, he's sort of clean.
Yes, yeah, he's very he's not Tom Riley in this. He's actually Nigel Bach. So there's no swearing or
there isn't.
Being the person. But we do have something up and coming. We've been having a chat with him, haven't we? So,
say no
but
more.
We're not going to say nothing.
Say no more.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So just for a couple of minutes, Lee.
Yeah.
We're coming out of lockdown soon, aren't we? We'll be able to get out and about more.
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing an investigation tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To put on the show in about 2 weeks' time, because that's the way it is.
Yes.
Because we're pre-recorded, we can do things like that.
So
the last investigation we did with you is we went to the cemetery, didn't we?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
We can't say what cemetery or nothing like that, and it was a good one.
It was, wasn't
it? And that's another one that'll be coming up on the show as well.
Yeah.
So it's we've got a lot ahead of us.
We have.
We haven't stopped.
A lot of good stuff coming up, isn't there?
Yeah, and the cemetery one, I mean, you brought Liam with you. Yeah, my partner Marie was there. Mm-hmm. The old fella opposite me, Jonathan, was there as well.
Yeah, and I was just there wandering around.
Yeah, but we're not going to say what happened. We're not going to say what happened because, I mean, it was interesting.
It was really interesting.
We've still got to edit it all, yes. Because you recorded on your Tascam, I recorded on my Tascam, and we haven't had a chance to get together to blend them. And what else have you been watching on the old YouTube, Jonathan?
Well, funnily enough, can I mention this?
I hope so.
Something that's happening next week.
There's
a subject coming up next week. Well, it'll be on in a few weeks after that.
What?
But we've got we've got an interview next week.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Now, I was watching... Can I mention it?
Yeah, you can.
Right, okay. I was watching Urban Explorers.
Mm-hmm.
And where should they go, Jamie?
They should go anywhere. I don't know.
Right. But they went to a certain place. But it wasn't in Scotland. It was in Cornwall, and it was his holiday home of Alistair Crowley.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be a good one, that'll.
Yeah, definitely.
But how funny is that?
Creepy.
Very creepy.
Yeah, that'll be another good one.
Came out the other night.
That'll be a good one.
I did watch it.
Yeah. So we've got some good ones coming up. We've definitely got. We've got Bad Ben tonight.
Yeah.
Then we've got Bad Ben, the interview. Then we've got the Alistair Crowley one. Yeah. That's going to be a cracker.
That's going to
be
well. Good, isn't it?
Good.
So, and then we've got a couple of investigations we've done. So we've got a lot ahead of us, and we've got quite a few more interviews coming up as well.
Yeah, some good ones.
I'm looking at my list, but I'm not going to name them because I can't twist my neck far enough.
It's age, that, you know.
Hey, rest of it. Lee, don't laugh. Don't encourage him. Whatever you do,
it's either
don't
the
encourage
wires
him.
on the headphones, or it's his wires holding his head up in his neck.
Or is it me? Yeah, I'm waiting for it. Me hearing aid. Yeah, so we've at least we've had a couple of good investigations, haven't we?
Yeah,
Excuse me.
really good.
My throat was drying up there because I've been doing an interview.
Yeah.
So, are you going to give me more stick?
No.
Or am I going to introduce this interview?
Introduce him.
Right. So, in a few seconds' time, you're going to hear the interview from Nigel Bach, whose character is Tom Riley, who's on the Bad Ben series on Amazon Prime. And if you haven't seen them, I think there's about 7 or 8 of them now. Yeah. And the very first one is called Bad Ben. Then you've got Steelmanville Road. Then you've got Badder Ben. Do you know what? I could list a whole lot of them, couldn't I?
On, doesn't it?
It does. But highly recommend them. Anyway, here's the interview I did with Nigel Bach. Well, we did with Nigel Bach. And it's coming up now. On the phone now, we have Nigel Bach, also known as Bad Ben, and also Tom Riley. So welcome to the show, Nigel.
Hey, thanks for having me, everyone.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Nigel, what we've got to say is we've been watching your shows. Now, I've watched 3 of them, and we got confused in which order to put them in, so I had to go on the internet to find out because they're absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Loved Bad Ben, which you'd done in 2016. My first question is how did you get into doing these actual videos?
I used to do television commercials, small market television commercials for Comcast. And I also was trying to break into screenwriting. Very difficult business to break into. And people used to say to me, hey, you own all these cameras and everything. Why don't you make your own film? And what people don't understand is just because you own a camera doesn't mean you can make Avatar, because I had simple prosumer type cameras. But I did know I could make a movie that was supposed to look like it was shot on a basic camera that anybody could own. And that type of film would be a found footage film. But Bad Ben was not the original idea.
Ah.
Right. Okay.
So originally how it started was I was going to have a cast of 6 characters, and it was going to be filmed in my house. That's a question most people ask, is this actually my house? And it is.
Yeah.
And I was to have a cast of 6 people. The lead was going to be a female actor, and she was going to portray a college student who was home alone while her parents were away. And she invites over her boyfriend and 2 other couples, and one by one, they disappear by some means. And as we approached the shoot date in May of 2016, one by one, the cast dropped out. They'd never met me, so I didn't do anything to offend them. And also, I pay people when they're in my movies. A lot of low-budget productions, they don't pay anything. And just one by one, they dropped out. And all I had left was the female lead. So I said, well, I'll just shoot it just with her. And on the Thursday before I was supposed to start shooting, that Saturday, it was pouring rain. I'm driving down the street that leads up to my house, and I get a text message from that one remaining actor, and she says, moving to Los Angeles, can't be in your film, sorry, good luck.
Oh my God.
So I dropped the phone on the front seat of my car. I said, I give up. And then I waited it wasn't long, maybe 30 seconds. I scooped up the phone. I started recording myself driving home. And I made up out of the blue. I don't know where it came from. I said, here I am on my way home from the house I bought at a sheriff's sale on Steelmanville Road. And I pulled in the driveway and I showed the house and I said, not bad for a sheriff's sale. And that's the opening line of the film. And that was done in one take.
Right.
And I said to myself, I could film this just with me, but who's going to want to see a bald, fat, 50-year-old guy running around the house getting his butt kicked by demons and ghosts? And I said, what the heck? What do I got to lose? And what was great about it, for me was I was the only person in it, and that's not what makes it great. It's just I didn't have to depend on other people being available. Yeah. Sometimes I'd wake up at 2 a.m. with an idea and I'd shoot it, and other times, just various times I'd shoot it, and in the course of the month, I completed the whole film.
In 1 month?
Yes. In fact, the first thing I shot was when I arrived at the house. And if you remember the end scene where I get drugged down the steps.
That's right, yeah.
That was the second thing I filmed. So I shot the beginning and the end in 2 days. And then I filled in everything in between. And it was great because I didn't have a script. I just kept throwing things together as they came along.
Well, you've done a fantastic job, because to be honest with you, when I put it on, I thought, let's see what this Bad Ben's about, which is on Amazon Prime for people who are listening. Yeah. And I thought, this looks good. It's completely different to any other paranormal program I've watched, and I've watched a lot of them. And we started watching it, and at first I actually thought, this is real. The way you'd done it was real. It was only like halfway through it. We were sitting on the edge of the table. Now, me and my partner Marie were watching it. I was sitting at the edge of the table, sitting at the edge of the settee, watching it. And the amount of times I jumped in that, and I thought, this is serious. And then all of a sudden, the penny dropped a little bit. Now, where you were saying about, you were dragged down the stairs at the end. Where did you disappear to? Because you came back again as an investigator.
Oh, you mean in the following films?
Yeah.
Well, what had happened was when I shot this thing, I never expected it to be as popular as it was. I thought maybe I'd make a couple dollars off of the film because Amazon pays when your film is streamed. Not nearly what they used to. But I did this film, and before I know it, I'm watching the numbers on a daily basis rack up. And first I had a couple hundred minutes, then a couple thousand minutes. Then the first month it streamed 1.2 million minutes. And it baffled me. And as of this date, which it's coming up on, it's 4.5 years later, because the film didn't go up until October of 2016. But as of this date, the series of the films I've done have streamed over 100 million minutes.
Wow.
And nobody's been more shocked about that than I was. Now, you mentioned something. You mentioned something interesting when you said you thought it was a horror. I actually thought I was making a horror. And people, in the States, every part of the States has a different accent. And there's something about my accent that they refer to as a Philadelphia accent. I don't know what a Philadelphia accent is, and I don't live in Philadelphia. I live about an hour from, but when I thought I was making this horror film, and the fans started responding, where they're saying, this guy's hysterical, this was hysterical, and they just found my northeastern United States accent and I guess attitude they found funny and scary in the movie. So it went both ways, which led me to say for the second film, you know what? I'm going to explain why there were cameras in the house in the first film and everything. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to make a darker, more serious film with the prequel, which was Steelmanville Road.
That's with Matt and Rachel. Yeah.
Right. And the fans hated it.
I loved it.
I mean, granted, to give it its due, it has discovered its own audience, but they like the nonsense of Tom Riley. I consider myself, speaking of the UK, you and Ricky Gervais did the series The Office, and we wound up getting our own version of The Office, which had Steve Carell in it.
That's right,
Michael Scott. Yeah. And I consider the Tom Riley character to be similar to Michael Scott because he thinks he's brilliant, but he's actually a moron. So when I did Steelmanville Road, it was darker with the cast and everything. Fans didn't like it. They wanted the nonsense of Tom Riley. So that led us to the third film, which I brought some people in on it, and I said, hey, they want fun. We'll make this fun. And that's when we embraced the fact that people found it funny. And we did Badder Ben, which was named by a fan, by the way.
Ah, right.
Brilliant.
Because, I mean, I'm yet to see Badder Ben. It's Badder Ben the final chapter, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's actually not the final chapter.
I was going to say it certainly isn't. Now, that's the one we've got to watch. I'll be watching that tomorrow, to be honest with you, because we didn't know it was in any order. We found the one called The Way In.
The Way In was actually number 6.
7.
Yeah. 7? Okay. There's 8 of them now. And in fact, number 8 was a blast. In fact, one of the number 8 was called Bad Ben Pandemic. That's and what we did, I shot this last year, and we have so many fans, and they would, they own cameras, and everybody that owns a phone today could shoot practically a film on a phone. Yeah. And I let the fans shoot their own segments, and we put the film together as if they're calling Tom Riley for advice.
I've seen that one.
2 of the favorite scenes from Bad Ben were made by people from England.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and they were so into it, and they were so good. And you'll know when you say it who's from. I think they even identify themselves, but you'll hear the accent and everything, or won't hear an accent, and you'll know it's that. But that was a blast to do. All of them were fun. Yeah. And at one point, I said, "How can I keep shooting in this house?" I said, "It's kind of getting old." Well, I came to realize that the house is the celebrity.
Ah, right. What is it? 21 cameras.
Well, there's really not 21 cameras.
All
what
right.
happened was the true story behind this was I built this house for my parents, and my father actually passed away before we moved in. And my mother, I took care of her here for 13 years till she passed, and hopefully she's not hanging out in the house somewhere. But what I did was I did have cameras in the house so that I could keep an eye on her and an eye on the home health aides I had given her care while I was here. Yeah. And at night, sometimes I'd be in bed and I'd check the cameras before going to sleep. And I say, man, you know what would be scary as heck? Would be if something walked across that room right now, like the living room or something when I'm looking at the camera. So that's where I got the idea to do this thing with security cameras. And I actually used a GoPro mounted on a stand. And so it would look like it was a place where security cameras would be.
Oh, right. Because we actually thought they were CCTV cameras. The way you'd done it was fantastic because there was not an angle you didn't show because it was in every room apart from the bathroom. But it was because you got beaten up and ended up in the bathroom, didn't you?
Well, I was filming on my cell phone.
So, the scenes you were doing in the house... Was it just you in the house itself when you were recording the actual series? What was the first one, Bad Ben?
75% of the first movie was just me alone in the house doing things. There were parts where I had people pulling strings, and in fact, you remember the scene where the chair moves and I pull it back and it moves again, and I say stop it.
Yep.
Well, how that happened? A few feet away from me was the basement door. And I had a friend of mine in the basement. There was fishing string up and around the leg of the chair. So he pulled the chair, and I told him, I'm going to pull the chair back, and you pull it back, and I'll pull it back, a second time and stop. Well, he pulled it a third time, so I said, stop it. So that I actually left in the film, and that people actually quote all the time. They will say to me, stop it, or when they message me. I do have people, too, which sometimes there's 2 things that concern me about this film series. One of the things that concerns me is when a person tells me, oh, my 6-year-old loves your films. Because, because as you know, I really have a foul mouth in these films.
But that's what makes it.
Well, yeah, that's what people have come to like. And then the second thing that concerns me is people will play a drinking game where every time I say a curse word, they'll take a shot. And I think that Alcoholics Anonymous owes me for filling up their meetings.
Yeah, he was.
Now, I think my favourite, obviously, I haven't seen them all yet, but my favourite one is in The Way In. When you were standing against the wall, and the next minute you flew right up the wall, hit the ceiling, and came back down to the floor. That, to me, was the best yet. I couldn't stop laughing at it. It's superb. How you done that, I do not know.
I'll tell you, I use the Adobe suite of software to make my films, and it's not that expensive, and it's like a monthly fee instead of just buying the program outright, because outright's like $2,000, but you can pay for it every month, and they just update automatically, and everything integrates so seamlessly. So that it's amazing what independent small producers can do with that software. There are young people right now in high school and college that are using some of these programs that will look very similar to like Jurassic Park, some of the things they create, or some of these things like Transformers, those films. Yeah. It's amazing what they can do for programs. And if they're in school, they pay half of what I pay because they, have student discounts. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Seeing a lot of the people like in that film is at the end where I'm reading out the names of the demons. Well, let me tell you something about my buddy Mike. Okay. Mike had one job in this film. He was to take a bucket of ashes and throw it at me. And I said, Mike, you got to hit me in the face. I don't want to do that. I said, Mike, it's going to look stupid if you hit me in the feet. You got to hit me in the face. So what does he do? He hits me about waist height. So I said, we got to do that again. Do you know how tough it is to sweep up a bucket of ashes and get it off of everything that's around? So it took about 2 hours to sweep that back up. And I said, Mike, if you don't hit me in the face this next time, I'm going to hit you in the face. So the second attempt, he got it. But The Way In was fun. All of them people always ask me to pick my favorite one, and it's so tough. I guess if I was to pick one, the very first one was so unknown, I didn't know where it was going to go, that I guess that I had the fondest memories of. But every one of them has been a blast to film.
Oh, I mean, it was me what got you onto them, wasn't it? Jonathan's with me and Lee. I got Jonathan onto them because I turned around. We were doing the show, this show. And I said to Jonathan, we talk about, different things on YouTube. And I turned around and said, Jonathan's one you must watch, and it's Bad Ben. Yeah. I said, go home and watch them. I said, they're fantastic. And so he's into them now as well. So you got somebody else.
I went home that night and I watched, and I think it was The Way In that I watched first.
Yeah.
But it made me jump about 3 times. I was lying in bed in the dark watching this film, and I didn't know it was going to make me jump.
Well, in that particular film where I'm sitting at the kitchen table and the cabinets all fly open.
Oh, yeah.
Someone comes jumping down the hallway next to me.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That was actually me jumping down the hallway, too. Like I said, this Adobe allows you to do so much. But that turned out very scary. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun to do. And even though these films have a comic aspect to them, there is some background to actual paranormal and, some scary stuff in there. Like the original Bad Ben is supposed to be the Jersey Devil.
Right.
Which where I live in southern New Jersey, we have an area known as the Pine Barrens. Mm-hmm. And the Jersey Devils there was a family that lived in a city called Smithville in the late 1800s. Or I think it was actually earlier than that. Mm-hmm. But it was in the 1800s. And it was the Leeds family. And she had 12 children, Sarah Leeds, and each one of them was a painful childbirth. And after the 12th child, she said and prayed that, God, please don't make me go through this again. And she said the only way I could have another child would be if Satan himself were the father. So as folklore has it, she got pregnant a 13th time, and she was at about her due date, and suddenly she wasn't pregnant anymore. And the ladies from the town came over to see what was going on, and they go up to her room to visit her, and she exposes her breast, and she shows claw marks. And she says, I gave birth to this horribly disfigured child. Wings sprout out of its back. It flew out the window, and it comes back several times a day to feed. So that's what the claw marks were.
And that's what Steam Bill. Yeah.
Right. And that's actually, I was told as a child that my great uncle was the Jersey Devil. So come to find out, as I grew older, everybody was told their great uncle was the Jersey Devil. And our parents were doing that to get us to come in at night, and it worked.
Well, I mean, you actually use that story in the Steelmanville Road story, when the lady came in, the elderly lady.
It explains why, what Bad Ben is.
Mm. So
actually, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was going to say, is the Bad Ben part of your life story as well? If you understand what I mean, like the Leeds family there, it actually came from your childhood.
Yes, but as it turns, like I said, I'm not related to them that I know of. But yes, it's a story and folklore from this area. There is as recently as, I mean, it's ongoing where people talk about sightings of the Jersey Devil. But, these are people that also, said they've gone and ridden the Loch Ness Monster. So, but the city of Smithville, still to this day, they talk about seeing this creature with the head of a goat, the hooves for legs and wings and stuff. And people have even taken pictures of it, which kind of look like, like they're good with Adobe Photoshop.
Yeah.
You're having a nice drink of Coke there, I see.
Yeah, Diet Coke. It's not video, though. So caffeine-free Diet Coke. It's hell to get old, fellas.
So, Coke it out there. Please pay him for the advertisements. Thank you. Because he wants to make another film.
There's other aspects in the films where I've used from different stories people have told me that have wound up in it. And there's been some scary moments while I've been making these because, like I said, most part I was doing this by myself, alone at night. And one of the scenes in Bad Ben where I ran out to the grave and buried everything, that it was raining. That was like 2 a.m. I live in the woods, and it was, I kind of, how in like, just in general in life, if at night you're walking up to your house, it gets scarier and scarier the closer you get to the door. Well, when I was done filming this and I'm walking back up to the front of my house, it got scarier and scarier the closer I got to the door. But there was some instances in here where I would hear creaks and stuff going on, and I would be, I would say, that's a little bit creepy. But one of the questions, there's 2 questions people ask me, the most common questions. One is, what's the phone next to the door for, the front door? And the second question is whether or not I believe in ghosts. And I explain this as I believe in, like, I think that when we die, we're either just dead or we go somewhere. I hope it's that we go somewhere. But I say I don't particularly believe we hang around. But I do believe in unexplained phenomena, because there's definitely stuff that goes on that has no explanation. And the funny thing is, there's like 4,000, I think, different religions in the world. But it seems like everybody, like some people may believe in one God or another God or whatever, but it seems like everybody believes in the same devil.
Do you know what? I've never thought of it like that. Yeah. That's something I've never thought of, yeah.
So, I mean, we go to war over religion. Different countries go to war over religious beliefs, but they don't go to war over the devil. So it's just, but it is, there are definitely, I mean, sometimes I'll watch these videos and stuff, and I just don't know how that can be explained away. But I love horror films. I always look for what's the latest horror film that's out there. But this found footage trend, which basically started with Blair Witch Project and then had a resurgence with Paranormal Activity. Yeah. This found footage, there's right now so many films out there you can watch that are found footage, and some of them are done brilliantly.
Well, I mean, this is where I was saying to Jonathan and Lee that yours is a breath of fresh air in the paranormal world, because a lot...
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. A lot of people are out there doing it very serious and they're taking it serious, and as you know yourself, you've probably seen it, there's just footage of paranormal and series upon series of paranormal now. And when I came across yours, I thought, do you know what, I'll watch it. At first I thought it was serious, then I realised it was like a spoof kind of film, and I loved it because it was just completely different. It was like at last someone is having fun with it and not being serious all the time, and that was the nicest part about your films. It was just a breath of fresh air within the paranormal world, and I think it's going to go a lot further as well. I think you're going to be a success in it as well.
Well, you know, what's happened recently is back in January, the Philadelphia Inquirer, which is a large newspaper, I think it's the fourth largest newspaper in the country here. I could be wrong on that, but I think so. And they did an article on me. They were after me for some time to do an article, and so I finally did an article with them. And there's this show on Hulu. It was with a magician. It's called In and of Itself. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but it was unbelievable. This magician was so good. And my roommate, who I call the evil Miss Holly, she wanted to watch this magician. And I have a habit, like many people do. I will not pay attention to a movie because I keep looking at my phone for some reason. And this time and then I have to ask, what happened? And we have to back it up, or I got to watch the whole film again. So this time I shut the phone off and I sat it down. And this was the day this article came out. And when the show was over, I pick up my phone and I've got all these messages. And one of them was from a company from Philadelphia called Breaking Glass Pictures, which is a distributor, and they put out, chances are if I showed you the logo, you would recognize, having seen it, something you've watched. And they picked up the series to distribute it more on an international scale. So like through Amazon, I could only put the film up in the United States and the United Kingdom. But they can put them up anywhere. So they're going to be, the whole series is going to wind up showing up every place soon, probably by the summer. And also I'm working on a 9th one now.
Is that the Christmas one?
No, the Christmas one got put on hold because originally Amazon, I got to tell you, Amazon has done a lot for me. So it's tough for me to be angry with them till I think about it. And then it's easy for me to be angry with them because they started originally paying 15 cents an hour streamed for a film. So that started off good. I was surprised at how, I was making money doing this. Then in the second year, they cut it down to 6 cents an hour streamed.
Wow.
But you could earn 10 cents an hour if you were viewed more than 30 million minutes. And then you could go up to, 6 million minutes. Then you could go up to 15 cents an hour if you were streamed over 100 million minutes in a year. But every calendar year, you reset to 0. Oh. So I could get up to making 10 cents an hour streamed easily, but then on the 1-year anniversary of that film, it drops back down to 6 cents. And now they've changed it again to where it paid. Like, I'll give you for instance. Last month, February and March, my film streamed 12 million minutes each month.
Wow.
Based on the original payment scale of 2016, I would have made about $28,000 for each of those months. Yeah. So I would have made over $50,000 for those 2 months. Mm-hmm. I've only gotten the what I'll be paid for the first month, but in a month what I would have made $27,000 in 2016, they paid me $1,800,
which is nothing. That's disgusting.
So they in one regard they've made Bad Ben famous, but in the other sense, this is a the owner alone is approaching $200 billion. And yet the problem is none of these indie producers can be unionized. So if that ever happened, things might change. But you know what? I don't really dwell on that because I have other ways through this that I earn a living. And I'm just so grateful that it's gotten out there and people have had such a blast over this that I really can't dwell on that or I'll lose my mind.
Yeah. I think you're going to do, I've watched 3 of them so far and I'm determined to watch them all because I love the storylines on them. I know it's mockery as well, but the storylines are just superb. And I know you Bad Ben, the first one, you ad-libbed right the way through it. But, sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say in Steelmanville, you brought 3 cast members in. Was it?
There were actually
Matt and Rachel.
More than that.
Oh, there was a young lad as well. Yeah, 4.
The lead characters were Matt and Rachel. Mm-hmm. Then there was the Mona, the older lady.
The psychic, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
There was the brother that was the ghost that had passed away, and there was also the family lawyer came in at one point.
Oh, the fella, yeah, the one, yeah.
And he closed some gaps in there. And that, to me, that's one of my favorite films because it's actually a story in there, and it was interesting and creepy parts. But again, the fan base I built was based on the nonsense of the character of Tom Riley. So, like I said, Steelmanville Road has gone to find its own audience, but they still want it. Like I had people write that said, my favorite part of that movie was the last 90 seconds when you showed up. Because it was a prequel to Bad Ben, you see me at the very end show up on the front porch. Then when when I did Crescent Moon Clown, which was the 5th film, that was all but the last 15 minutes of that. The character was an African-American female, and they didn't like that either. They wanted me. And when I came in the last 15 minutes, they liked it. Now, I will say that film also found its own audience because it was a film that had an African-American female lead that didn't get killed in the first 5 minutes of horror films. Yeah. Like so often, that's a complaint about the black community that a character will be killed off in the first couple minutes of the film. But she was the lead, and she was phenomenal in the movie. And she was funny at the end. So that's when I decided, I said, you know what? Maybe one day I'll do a film on something else when I have a large budget. But for right now, I got to keep including the character of Tom Riley in these films.
Definitely.
Because that's what they're seeking.
That's a must. But, I mean, I did like the Matt and Rachel one as well. I love the story around it. I like the way you brought the devil in, where he went and slept with her. And the lad was really good. The way he done his. And what I did like is the way he come in and you had him near the toilet when the fella went into the toilet, and then you had him standing at the toilet, and just before he come out he faded to nothing. Whereas I was expecting him to stand there and the fella come out and jump out of his skin, to be honest with you. So, although you're expecting things, you were surprisingly surprised because what you was expecting didn't happen. It was completely different to what you'd expected, if you understand that one.
Yes. And one of the things that has always got me in a horror film, a well-done horror film, draws your attention to where the action isn't going to happen. Like you're looking over to one side of the screen and then something happens over here that scares the heck out of you. Yeah. And that's a lot of what I did here was kind of, I mean, even though Steelmanville Road had a script, a lot of what happens in all these films kind of is improvised as we're going along, because I am able to sit back, see the whole thing and say, this would be really creepy here. And sometimes I just have really good luck at how things turn out. Like the film I'm shooting now, I won't give any spoilers other than to say we also have, I have 2 rescue dogs and a rescue cat, and the cat makes an appearance in this film because she throws her ball down the steps at me while I'm standing there, and then she chases it down. So it worked out perfect in there. And the difference in this latest film I'm working on from the other films is this is going to be 90 minutes in succession. So from the time the film starts till it ends is 90 minutes. So there's going to be no break, no 2 days or 3 nights or something. It's just going to be one continuous film. Right.
Yeah. Now, you were saying then about the way you deflect people. You know, you're looking at parts where, the only way you can explain is we do paranormal investigations. We are a paranormal group as well as doing this. Yeah. And what I was watching with yours is I was watching for the things in the distance, the hidden things, to see if the table moved, if the TV come on, for the white noise and things like that. And sometimes I missed it, and we were having to rewind back and then play it again, where you use the loft, which is one of the creepiest things, is the loft. And you see something move in the loft, so we had to rewind it back because I didn't see it, but my partner Marie did. And then there was the shadow what went past the bedroom door.
Oh, that's right.
And I didn't see that. I had to rewind it back and go, there it is, there. So it was great because there was things you didn't expect, where one person saw it, the other person didn't. So you had to, I think I watched it about 5 times to get everything in.
Well, I'll tell you, that scene where something walks by the crack in the door when I'm in the bedroom, that's creepy to me to watch. And it turned out really well when I put it together. But still, to this day, what is the scariest scene to me in all the films didn't even happen at night. It was when I was talking to the music box and it jumped on the coffee table. You remember Ben? The first one. I'm asking a question. By the way, that music box was given to my older sister. That music box is like 60 years old.
Wow.
And it just so happened to work. And but that conversation where I was using it to communicate and it jumped, that to me is still the scariest single scene of all the films.
Yeah, I remember it because I jumped on that one as well. Because we were watching it thinking a voice was going to come out of it. And that's the difference in it. When you're watching it for a voice to come out and then all of a sudden it jumps. It's that's what I like. You know, I like things like that where I'm not expecting something to happen.
Well, the feedback I've received from fans that people found most relatable or most aggravating was that you have this guy that thought he was getting a great deal. And it kind of comes down to the old saying of you get what you pay for. And this guy thought he was getting a great deal because he got this house for so cheap. And then he gets into it. He finds out why he got it for so cheap. Because it's, it's full of ghosts and demons. And he keeps bringing up the fact that he can't leave because he put every penny he had into this house. And he actually builds on that in future episodes because he's broke come Bad or Ben, because you haven't watched that one yet, but in Bad or Ben, it turns out Tom Riley survived and this paranormal crew goes into the house to investigate, and they find Tom Roddy's alive somewhere, and they bring him back to be a part of the special.
Yeah, Jonathan's seen that one.
I watched that one last night.
Well, that was the first one where we actually embraced that people were looking for funny, because the two characters in that, Matt and Schmitty and Jackie, are actually sketch comedians that are brilliant. They are so funny. And David, the other bald guy in the film, David was my screenwriting professor when I took a class in screenwriting. And so I got him involved. He's a filmmaker also, but yeah, that was a lot of fun to do. And it's just that, Tom's only agreed to come back to this house of horrors because they're paying him to come there.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Now, I've got to ask, when you've done the one called The Way In, and Bad Ben itself, when we seen, I'll go to the Bad Ben one first. When we seen you in Bad Ben, we actually thought you were coming into the house, not knowing anything about it, and we were sitting there going, "Why is he staying there? Why? I'd be out the door now. I'd be doing this." But it's only later on when we seen that it was obviously a bit of a comedy one as well, that these things would happen. But we were seriously thinking, "What are you doing? Get out! Don't be in there on your own. Why haven't you got anybody with you?" And when you were doing that, I know that you were taking it as fun. Did you at any time feel there was anything there, or was it? Was the house haunted in any way that you thought you'd play upon that, or obviously you built the house?
Well, when probably all of us when we were kids, there was always a house somewhere in the neighborhood or the city that was vacant and had been vacant for years. And you always thought that there was something that, the electric was turned off, windows were busted out so you could go into the house, and you always were fearful that there was something, in that house. But in this house in general, I've never felt like anything in particular. But I will tell you, my roommate, she's been my roommate now. She's a horrible person, by the way. But,
I hope she doesn't listen to this.
Well, actually, it's pretty funny over here because we will get in my car and drive around, and we broadcast live on Facebook. I put my phone up in a holder, and we call it the Biggins because we both are fond of food, so we might be a little on the large side. So we call ourselves the Biggins, but it's supposed to be Nigel and the evil Miss Holly. And we drive around, we just bicker at each other, and people get the biggest kick out of it. But my roommate, her biggest fear, because she was my roommate when I did the first film, her biggest fear was, are you scared that doing these films and like when you're trying to conjure up demons and ghosts and all, could actually conjure up a demon or a ghost? And I said, well, as long as it's paying the bills, I don't care. But no, actually, we have thought of that. And because there's a scene in particular where I kind of do my research on these things, and I'll look something up and get something in Latin that may say, I can't remember the specifics now, but where I'll sit there and I'll say something which actually is accurate to, well, one of the things is when I'm trying to cast out the demons in The Way In, some of that language and that verbiage that's used is based on, trying to or banish evil. And in Bad Ben, there's when I'm saying it's time for you to cross over, I'm walking around, a piece awaits you there, I'm walking around the house doing that. That's actually based on some things priests will say in exorcisms.
Right.
So I looked that up. So one of the things she said was, are you scared that you could open up a portal to something? And, it was something that crossed my mind. And there's even scenes where I'm doing with the Ouija board and stuff like that. And it's, in fact, when you say about stuff you see and you would have to watch stuff a couple times, I never even noticed something that happened in that Ouija board scene. My dog, a dog we used to have, came past my leg, and I didn't notice because I'm looking at a camera and a monitor while I'm doing the Ouija board thing. But the fans saw the dog walk past my leg under the table, and it freaked them out. And I'm saying, wait, I had to go back and watch it. I'm saying, there it is. There was the dog walking under the table. But the other thing, too, was in the second film, because my house really is on Steelmanville Road. In this town. And the mailbox gets seen, which has the street number on there. So I have had fans, like I'll appear on social media in a comment where they'll say, this house really does exist. And you know how Google Street View, they'll have a picture of my house, they'll have a satellite picture of the house, and I'll just say, this house really exists. And it does lead us to, on occasion, have a visitor. Right. And the visitors have always been awesome, but like recently it's happening a lot. And just in the past 2 weeks, we've had 4 different people stop by. It was funny because you know what the Ring doorbell is? Do you have that over there?
Yeah.
When people ask me what the phone is for out front, that used to be, because the house is big, and if I'm out back or I'm not home and someone comes looking for me, if they pick up that phone, it automatically dials my cell phone. So I'll know somebody's at the front door, or I could talk to them, and I could see them on a camera at my front door. So that was an old bastardized version of a Ring doorbell I made myself, where there was a phone and a camera. But just this past holiday season, Ring sold the doorbell for only $69. It's normally $200. So I bought one. So sometime last week, my phone goes off, says, motion detected at the front door. And I go walking out front. I always keep a mask hanging near the door because we're still going through this glorious coronavirus. And I step out on the front porch. And when I went back and I looked at the video, these 2 guys come up to the front door and they're tiptoeing because they don't know if somebody lives there. And they take a photo right next to the front door. And they say, go, 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 go. And they go running out to their car. But when it tipped me off to motion, I step out on the front porch and I kind of hold my hands up. And they said, sorry, we just wanted to take a picture with the house. I said, you don't want to take one with me? And all of a sudden, all 4 doors pop open. They all come out. We took a picture. But that's like 2 years ago in 2019 in the summer, before all this stuff, a young lady, she's like 16, 17 years old. Her father asked her, what do you want to do before you go back to school? And she said, we want to go see the Bad Ben house. So for them, it was a 9-hour drive just to come take a picture of the house. Well, it was very flattering to me. They said they were coming. And I said, well, let me know when you're here. And if I'm home, I'll say hi. So they show up and they message me. And I step out on the front porch. And it was the most embarrassing thing for me because there was 4 16-year-old girls and her father. And when I stepped out on the front porch, it was like One Direction stepping on stage because these girls, they screamed. They're like, ah, and I almost ran back in the house. But anyway, they were, and we had one family stop by and they told me that their son, who is autistic, happened to love the Bad Ben films. And I was thinking, because there's different stages of autism, and things that affect people. And like, for instance, Broadway here will do versions of shows where there's less flashing lights and all, so that people can watch and enjoy and not be affected by it. So I was a little shocked that his favorite films were Bad Ben. Well, just so happened that the Crescent Moon clown mask I had a second one of. So I was able to, I said, hang on here for a second. I walked in, I brought that out, and he loved that. And then I get a picture from his dad at Halloween that shows he went as the Crescent Moon clown for Halloween. So it's something that's been as simple as these films to do, has had so many enjoyable moments after them. I've also had people contact me that say, I'm trying to get in contact with my son who died in a car accident last year, and it's horrifying to me because what am I going to say to him? You know, I say, well, you know, it's I really can't help, but I'm sure there are people that can.
Yeah. Now, when you're doing these films, I mean, obviously, like we said earlier on, Bad Ben 1 was ad-libbed. Do you, when you start on them, I know you'll start with a script. Do you just like work from the script, then ad-lib it? You know, an idea might come into your head while you're filming and go, I'll do that as well.
Well, when I had cast, like at Steelmanville Road and Bad Ben, with the cast, I wrote out a complete screenplay. And we would ad-lib as we went along. In fact, in Bad Ben, there's a scene where Schmitty tells people, he's doing like a testimonial, and he tells people, my real name isn't even Schmitty. It's Tristan Carmichael. And it's funny to watch it in the context it is. But he totally ad-libbed that because I'm down to like the end of this film, and I realized, because he's supposed to be the camera operator in the film, he's barely ever on camera. So I said to him, Matt, I want to do something where we get some extra time with you on camera. So he's the sketch comedian, and I had him ad-lib that, and it was brilliant. And so that was a version of ad-libbing. And when I do the films, which are just me, it's normally I make it up as we go along. I'll take notes. Like I'll sit there, I'll write down something that I think, oh, this would be scary or that would be scary. And then I refer to them as I'm filming, but there's really no script in the ones that include anybody except me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love the ad lib parts of it because it makes it more real. If you understand what I mean there, because it's the unexpected. What's the best part of it? And in Bad Ben, I mean, at the moment, that's my favourite one. It's the first one I watched, but it's my favourite one. I enjoyed the others as well, but the way you done it and the way it started off looking serious, and it did look serious. And you know, you were walking around the house, you were doing things, and that's where I thought it was real. I don't know whether you watched it. There was a program over here in 1992. I'll talk about it a few times. It was called Ghost Watch.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was all what is it? We thought it was an actual paranormal investigation, but it was all fake and ad-libbed as well. But it was brilliant. It felt like you were there with them. And in the first one, Bad Ben, I felt part of the film. I felt I was in the room with you, and I was actually like, "Don't go in there. Don't go in there. Be careful. Just be." And you start thinking to yourself, "What are you doing? Don't go. What are you doing there?" Do you understand what I mean by that one? Because it was just. I was thinking, how brave is he? Till later on.
Well, when you're actually creating it, and you go back to look at it, it's like you realize that, and you're in the moment shooting it, you realize how our stuff just isn't scary to you because you're creating the scary situation in your mind. But there were two instances. One of them was my sister was very upset watching Bad Ben because I'm drugged down the steps and I'm screaming. And she said that was tough for me to watch. And I said, well, nothing happened to me. And the other scene was when the characters that played Matt and Rachel, who were Chris and Jessica, came to the house for the first time when we were discussing doing Steelmanville Road. And we walked to the top of the basement steps and they looked down. They were like, whoa, this is really creepy. Looking down the basement steps, not, realizing that everything that happened down there that was supposedly terrifying was man-made. Plus, I ruined a good door at the bottom of the steps.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did you actually break that door?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that door was kind of cheap anyway, but I finally, after 4 films, I finally replaced it last year.
And what about the knife in the wall? You had the knife in
that I haven't repaired yet. There's a picture hanging over it.
And the pictures, you've got I think it was the Lord's Prayer or something in a frame, you've got the Bible, you've got the crucifix.
Yeah.
Are they genuinely yours? Are they on the wall still?
Yeah, well, yeah. And the Lord's Prayer was given as a housewarming gift. I'm sure they're thrilled, whoever gave us that. That Bible is actually a family Bible that's, like probably 70 years old. And I got a hard time from a lot of fans because I threw it in the trash can. And so I will periodically bring it up and show that I didn't throw it away. Here it is. I just, for that scene. But that is part of what people bought into. You know how there's horror movies we watch where the victim you think deserves what they're getting?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was part of this film where people said he threw that Bible in the trash. He was more worried about making $1 by selling that house than he was more worried about offending somebody. That, like, say a person of a different faith came in the house and there's a Bible there or a cross, they might be offended. So he just threw them in the trash. Serves them right for what happened to him. And,
well, you had there was a part in it as well. You had the clown walk past you when you were in the dining room you were in. And the fella came, whoever it was dressed as the clown, went past you as a clown.
That wasn't bad then?
No, that was it The Way In?
Well, there was the fourth film we did called The Mandela Effect, which you haven't seen. That had, you know what? I know what you're talking about. In The Way In, the Crescent Moon Clown did make an appearance, yes. And actually, at the end of The Way In, he makes an appearance, too. You see him step on the front porch when I'm leaving.
Right, waving, yeah. Well, they all appeared on that at the end of that one because they all went in the different windows.
I got offended because, and in fact, one of the ways I make money doing this is, like I said, this fan base is very rabid. They love this series. And I actually would offer people the opportunity to pay a fee to help in the production of the film and get their name mentioned in the film. And one example of that was, you hear me when I walk up to the front door in The Way In to get the key, the phone rings that's next to the door, and I answer it, and I'm talking to Mrs. May. Well, that's one of my fans who paid a fee to have her name mentioned in the film.
What a great idea. Yeah.
We do that a couple times, and there's and there's also a joke, like in the film I'm doing right now, I'm going to have a picture hanging on the wall of a couple on their wedding day. Ooh. Well, that's my best friend and his wife that got married back in October, and I actually married him. I did the ceremony.
Oh, right.
He asked me, so if you pay a couple bucks, we can all be ministers if you want. And we can all baptize each other if you want to all pay a couple bucks. But, I signed up, became a minister, and to do their wedding, and which was scary as heck because it was during the pandemic. And they're I love this guy and his family, but they're kind of deniers, right, that if there's anything going on. So here we are at the wedding of about 75 people. Nobody's got a mask on except for me and my cameraman. And I took it off to do the ceremony because we were outdoors. But the rest of the night, I said, let them all call me bad names for having a mask on, but at least I won't be on a respirator while they're calling me that. So.
Now, I've got to ask you as well, Nigel, have you ever been on a proper paranormal investigation?
No, and in fact, I've been invited multiple times, and if it was to ever fit in my schedule, like if it was ever local and I could do it, I would love to go.
I don't think you'd even be scared as well, because I think when you're doing your films and you've got no fear in them, I think you'd be the same in an investigation as well. I think you'd just see it as part of entertainment.
Well, I'm glad I'm glad I've convinced you of that, because I think in reality I would probably be like wearing an adult diaper as we go on tour, because There are, I will tell you, a lot of times fear I experience, I don't exhibit till after the fear or the danger's gone. Like I try to keep, and that might be like in the case of if there's like an accident or you're in a situation where it seems like there might be a fight breaking out, not with myself, but I try to keep the straight face, but afterwards is when you react to it. But I would be fascinated to go on one of these actual paranormal. Now, didn't you say the facility you're in right now is considered haunted?
Yeah, it's Mill Street Barracks. If you actually go on YouTube and look for what's it called, Paranormal Lockdown. Have you ever heard of Paranormal Lockdown? They came here and
I've heard it.
Yeah, they came here and done it. They loved it, and they wanted to come back. Now, we've had a lot of TV programs come here and do it. If you go on YouTube and just type in Mill Street Barracks St Helens, you'll see what it's about on there. If you ever do come over here, you're more than welcome to come on one of our investigations with us. We'd love to have you.
Well, the United Kingdom's on my bucket list. I want to get over there one day. And I did have one experience in my life when I was about 22 years old. There's this house in the city of Mays Landing, which is called the Abbott House. And it was turned into like a bed and breakfast, but it was for sale. And I got my real estate license because in college I took a real estate course. And at the end, they allowed you to take to apply for your license. And I did, and I got it. So I was given a tour of this house to some people looking to buy it. And it was alleged that under the stairs, they used to, almost like in the Harry Potter films, remember how they had them under the stairs in the first one? Yeah. Well, there was one of those like little doors under the stairs, and that they kept a child in there. And it was said that when young children would be in this house, the same age or younger than this child, children would sometimes say to their parents, hey, there's this little boy there. And so I was a little, I walked in the house. It's well lit and everything, and I'm not like nervous. But as the more I'm walking around, it's like I just had a feeling that something felt a little off. Mm-hmm. And as we come downstairs, it was the second floor. It was a 4-story place. All of a sudden, a light comes on and a radio blares out in one of the bedrooms. Scared the heck out of me. So we got out of that house and everything, and I was shaky. And the next day I was back in the office, and I said, oh, my God, I had no idea, but we're walking downstairs, and all of a sudden in that room off the top of the first, he goes, yeah, I know what you're about to say. And I said, what? And he says, tell me. I said, the light and the radio blared. And he said, the radio? I said, yeah. He said, well, the light's on a timer. He says, but I don't know anything about the radio. And I'm saying, are you serious? And so I never did get an answer, but I'll tell you, that is the one time where I was really spooked out. But I would love, I don't know if they do this over there, but it seems like there's this fascination here where they will go into old abandoned prisons and do these programs. Yeah. And there are like these, they call it the terror in the prison. They do it Halloween time and all. And these places look absolutely horrifying to go into.
We've been in a few scary places, haven't we?
Yeah.
Now where we are here, Jonathan, as you know, and Lee, is we have a cellar. We've got 3 cellars here. And there's a main cellar which we usually go down. After we've done the recording of the shows, it could be 3 o'clock in the morning by the time we finish here. So we could, come on, let's go and do an invest down in the cellar. There was one night I was on my own, wasn't I? Yeah. And I thought, I'm going to have to go and check this. I always have to check that the doors and everything are locked. And I went down into the bottom cellar, down to the cellar. Now, this cell is quite long. So I get to the other end. I thought, I'll turn the light on while I'm down here. So I turned the light on and tripped them all. So now I'm in pitch black in this cellar. Now, I've done this cellar many times. Very, very haunted cellar. And I thought, it's okay. I've got my torch in my pocket. No, I didn't. So I'm walking through this cellar, and that's why your cellar's creepy to me. I'm walking through this cellar, and I'm going, it's only me, you know who I am. It's only Jamie and everything else. Could I get out that cellar quick enough? Could I? Nothing. Gets up back into the studio here. I think, right, I'll get me stuff, and I've finished now. I'll make sure everything's locked up, switched everything off. Gets to the end of the building, locks everywhere up, and then went, I think it was my keys I forgot on my phone. So I had to come back in the building, right the way through the building, in the pitch black, into the room, grabs, I think it was my keys on my phone, back out, and as I get to the other end of the main hall, terrified, I realised I could have turned the lights on, because there's light switches right next to the main doors. So, as you know, the fear got to me that much, I couldn't concentrate on what I was doing. And that's one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me in this place. And it was all because of my own imagination.
Well, we had a power outage here over the summer, and that to me was one of the creepiest times, because all these outside noises you're used to, and like street lights and all things you'll see out there, or even in the house, my dogs have to go out. I take them out in the backyard to relieve themselves. And I always have the comfort of a light switch right there to flip on and walk downstairs. And when you don't, and you're using a flashlight or like one of those little battery lanterns, it casts shadows everywhere. And I like I say, I do believe in unexplained phenomenon, and I would be fascinated to go. Maybe I'll have to book a trip when this is over and all this pandemic is over, and come see you guys, and you can take me in there, lock me in the cellar.
Come and stay. Do that. Yeah. You can stay with us. Yeah, you can stay in mine. Yeah. But you were saying about you casting your shadows just then when you take the dog out and you've got the torch. When you've got the shadows in some of your programs, you've actually got them going across the house and everything else. Is that where you got the idea from, or did you have them ideas anyway?
Now, I have found, and I'm sure I'm not alone in feeling this, it's sometimes one of the most terrifying things is what you don't see, but you hear, or you feel without seeing. And for instance, I'll give you something that's actually you do see in The Conjuring, when they do the clap game. And the hands come out. I got to tell you, it's I needed to make a trip to the bathroom after that, because that to me was terrifying. But by the way, those Ed and Lorraine Warren films, I could watch if they did 100 of them. I would watch all 100 of them.
Yeah,
because
there's one out in June, isn't there, this year?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, June. There's the next one's out.
I was going to say when you had the medium in Steelmanville. She actually reminded me, I don't know why, but she actually reminded me of Lorraine Warren. And I think it's because she had no fear. She came into the house. But what was hilarious about her was she come into the house telling them off.
Right.
The lady's voice, the mother of the girl who was there, of Rachel. And she come in, she was having a conversation with them, was going, my word, that's Marie. That's my partner, Marie.
I'll tell you, Rachel, who was Jessica, is her real name. When her and her husband, they were actually a married couple, and they came down here to do the film. They used to drive about 45 minutes to do the film. She told me that her mother told her, don't do that film. And she says, why not? She goes, have you seen Bad Ben? And I said, well, tell her that the guy that died in it is the guy that's filming it. That's filming you in it. And but no, she really bought into it. And the woman that played Mona, and this is horrible because her actual name slips me at the moment. Anyway, she there were things about her that were creepy, and there were things about her that she wanted to ad-lib in the film that I got the distinct impression came from experience. Like some of the more creepy things she was involved in. But she turned out to, she was kind of creepy in the fact that, like, she's the one that unlocked the door when she was told to leave.
That's right.
And the things she did. But Yeah, she was Jean. Jean Sutton was her name. Now I remember. Yeah. But yeah, she was great in it, and Elijah was good in it, and that kid has grown like 6 inches since then, and he didn't even have a driver's license then. Now he's in college. So
no, I like that. I mean, it was strange when he went down like the actual landing, and he he was like crawling. Then he was standing at the top of the stairs. Then he was down in the hall. Then he was at the door, and it's
there have been people. There have been people that said they want Elijah to do a standalone film, and I said, it's always possible, but and I'll tell you what my idea is for the final Bad Ben film when it's finally done. I don't know when that's going to be. It could be the 10th one. It could be the 30th one. But my idea is going to be that I finish. The film opens with me wrapping up a film. And I say, okay, that's a wrap. And then I am Nigel Bach. And I come into my house. But all these years of screwing around doing these films has actually released evil into the house. It's actually drawn it in. So for this film, you're seeing the real character, me, dealing with what's really going on, like calling in paranormal investigators and all because
that. So. Brilliant. There's one I thought of as the way you're doing the investigation is like similar to the pandemic one is you're giving advice to paranormal people. They're ringing you up and so contacting you saying, look, we've got this in the house, how do you deal with it? We've seen you doing this and this and this. Although you're Nigel Bach and you can't do that, they're convinced that you're Bad Ben or Tom Riley.
Oh yeah, I get that, and it's with great power comes great responsibility, as Spider-Man would say. Sometimes I do have people say that and I've got to be clear to make it. And sometimes I got to wonder if they're screwing with me because I say, like, you really believe, like, this guy that's saying the things I say and the things I do is a real, an expert at this, but they do. So sometimes I have to clear it up for them. And I'll say to them, like, it's been everything from I've got this apparition that appears every night at 3:00 at the top of the steps in my house. What do I do to get rid of it? And I say, well, I suggest you go out from 2:45 to 3:15.
That would be perfect. That would be brilliant. Yeah.
Well, originally, before I ever started Bad Ben, I had created a character that I was experimenting with called Gil Chris, the ghost guy. It was total comedy, and he was a guy that thought he was a paranormal investigator genius, and he would take money from people to try and solve their ghost problem. And this woman hires him because she says every night up in that window on the 3rd floor, there's the ghost of a little girl. If I go in the house and go up there, there's nothing there. But from out here, you can clearly see there's a little girl up there. And she was divorced from her husband, and the kids didn't want to come stay with her because they would see it up there and they'd be terrified. She said, I can't have people over because of it. And I said, I can solve your problem. It'll cost you $600. So she writes me a check and she goes, okay, what's the solution? I said, that ghost you see up there every night in the window? She said, yeah. I said, I'm going to board up that window. So my solution was if I boarded up the window, you just couldn't see the ghost. So the problem would be solved. And, but that evolved into where I actually did this Bad Ben film and all. And like I said, I didn't think I was making a comedy, but God bless the fans because they liked it and all. But I do get asked for advice, and quite often I will steer them. I'll say you might want to, refer to a local like one thing I didn't know existed where I live. There's a paranormal society about 5 miles from me. Right. And they contacted me because they said do you want our help? And I said, I said, do you know how to hold a mic and work a camera? And I explained to him that I was doing these for entertainment, but I've come through, because even though these were done for entertainment, a lot of the storylines that are in the background are based on real stories of the paranormal, like the Jersey Devil is real and stuff that's happened.
Now, going back to the very beginning, and you've started all these Bad Bens, and you've never been on a paranormal investigation and things like that. What actually got you into the paranormal to do the likes of Bad Ben, and get into these like fun kind of stories as the paranormal person? Because obviously there's so many projects you could have done, and you picked on that one.
Well, one of the things is that horror stories don't follow the same pattern that most films follow. Like in most films and screenplays, they're real stringent on in Act 1 and Act 2 and Act 3. A horror film doesn't have to do that. You start, you build up the suspense a little, and then you keep it going until the end. So it's a whole different format. Plus, horror films, to make some jump scares and stuff, is something that can be done relatively easily just by, I won't say sleight of hand, but by surprising your viewers or the people watching it. Whereas other films, there has to be, you can kind of throw logic aside in a horror film, because what you're dealing with is not logical quite often. And I also reverse engineered this film, because when I decided to remember I said I was a screenwriter and I was making commercials for Comcast. And when people said you should make your own films, I knew the type of film I could make was one that's supposed to be shot on not $1 million cameras. And the type of films I knew of out there that do that are these like Paranormal Activity films were done. Like the guy buys a camera, he comes home to their townhome. To me, the most terrifying part of that entire film was the footprints coming in the bedroom in the powder.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I said that was brilliant because I know how that was done, but I know how it came across. And even like finding in the attic the burned picture of her as children, that to me was terrifying and so well done. And there's been other films, like on Amazon Prime, there's this film, Leaving D.C. And this was a guy who's by himself most of the time. There is another character at one point, but he's out in the house in the woods, and he keeps hearing a flute playing outside at night. And it was just done very well. And then there's some of these films that have big budgets that aren't so good. Like Bad Ben cost me $300 to make.
I was going to ask if that was true, but yeah.
Well, that film has generated over, of course, it's been a sliding scale because of their cut and pay, but that film for $300 has generated over $100,000 for me.
Wow.
Over the course of 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah. What I like
that film, of the $300, about 150 of that was because I gave my friends some money that were pulling strings and doing stuff. And also, the other thing, it would have cost me $225, but the harness I bought from Home Depot, which is a hardware store here, to get drug across the floor, it was a harness I bought. I got fake blood all over it, or else I would have returned it.
Oh, no, that would... So far, the very first one was the best one. I've not seen them all yet, and I can't wait to see them all, to be honest with you.
I agree with you. The best one, and that's quite often with most films. The original's the best. But they've all had fun aspects to them. There's some... Because let's face it, if somebody was to tune into Pandemic for the first time without having seen any of the previous ones or seeing who Tom Riley is, it just wouldn't make sense to him.
Yeah. Well, we actually, I sat with my partner Marie watching it. Now Marie is a male version of Tom Riley, isn't she? She's got no fear. What you were doing in Bad Ben, she'd do it without even. She wouldn't be scared, to be honest with you. And that's
Does she
the way
walk
she is.
around in her underwear most of the time?
Not when we're on investigations. But
Okay, because that's me in my film. I'm in my underwear half the time.
Yes, you are, aren't you? Do you know what I did like, though? Sorry, Nigel. I'm going to call you Ben, Tom, Nigel.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay. My favourite one as well was the television. You know, you've got the big screen television in the living room. I kept expecting something to happen on the TV because it had quite a significant scene in it, because whichever camera you had on, the TV was there. And the same with you, Jonathan Lee, is you're waiting for something to happen, because you've heard of white noise where the TV comes and that's what I've been expecting with that. Nothing's happened to the TV yet.
Well, in The Crescent Moon Clown, she's sleeping on the couch and the TV does come on and then go off. But I will tell you that the reason why you haven't had that is, first of all, I try not to do what most people would find to be obvious, which would be the TV turning on. But most TVs don't have static anymore. They're just going to come up to a blue screen.
Yeah, good point. I'm giving me age away on
Well, no, I've got a couple of those. There's one of those TVs sitting right over there. That's 4:3 instead of 16:9 format. Speaking of, and off topic for a second, have you seen Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League?
No, I've not seen that yet.
It just came out like 2 weeks ago, and over here it's available on HBO Max. But for some reason, the film was shot in the 4:3 format instead of 16:9.
I know what you're talking about now, because I went to put it on, as the way they show you the trailers, and I was saying, I'm thinking my TV's gone back to the old version. I'm thinking, and I'm trying to press it to get the 16.9, and you've just.
Well, it says it in the beginning. It pops up there, and it says it was shot in 4:3 format. But I'll tell you what, that film is 90% a new film from the other Justice League. So you're not going to sit there and say, I'm watching this again, because you're not. You're seeing a new film. It was good.
Brilliant.
And do you
I'm sorry. We just watched Malevolent also, which is available streaming. And that was good. It was about a paranormal team that was basically a fraud, and they were just taking people's money to go in and say, they see something, they spoke to it. Well, they went to a house that was really haunted, that somebody brought them in. That's a good one too.
Gotta watch that.
I think I've seen the trailer for that.
Well, terrible for watching trailers.
Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix. Yeah, but do you get any ideas from the films you watch, the panel? Do you ever go on YouTube and look and think that's a great idea, or?
All the time. I'm just waiting to get my first lawsuit from stealing from people.
Well, do you know what, though? We all steal from each other.
No, but it's not always a horror film either. It's just something I could be watching and I could say, done slightly different, that would be terrifying right there. Yeah. Like in a comedy, when somebody opens the door, they're talking about somebody, and they open the door and the person's standing there that they're talking about. How it's been done, I said, if this wasn't in the scene, in the realm of a comedy, that could be horrifying when they open the door and there's someone standing there. But I got to tell you, the greatest part about doing this is when you think of something that's scary. I saw a video one time, and this was just somebody on YouTube, where they're driving down the street, and walking down the side of the street, there's a woman in a wedding dress. I don't know if you've ever seen that video.
No.
They're just driving down the street, and here's a woman in a wedding dress. And they're like, what the hell was that? And they turn around, there's nobody there.
No.
I mean, that was just so creepy. And like in the movie Halloween, where Donald Pleasance, I think was his name, he's pulling up to the hospital, and all the patients are out in the road. And they're like, that was terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Is that where I was going to say, is that where it came from in the movie then, when looking out the window and the black shadows outside?
Yeah, well, I always thought that that shadows passing in front of, are scarier than, because the thing you're faced with is you're seeing this shadow. What is the origin? of what's causing the shadow. So that's where, so that didn't have a particular basis in anything I saw, but it was, when I would see those shadows and they'd pass, and they'd also pass like through the blinds into a house, because let's face it, something 6 inches tall in front of a light 50 feet away can be 50 feet tall by time its shadows cast. So there was a scene in Badder Ben where we're outside on the front lawn, and upstairs on the 3rd floor room, you see shadows moving up there.
Yeah, that's right,
And that was creepy. So I like to use the shadows a lot. I also, I just find shadows creepy in general.
Well, we've had quite a few haunted occasions here when we've seen shadows.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, now I'm going to ask you guys a question here, if that's okay.
Yeah.
There's so many of these paranormal shows out there where they never get to the end. I mean, they say that, I sense this or I sense... There's this one show that the evil Miss Holly was down here watching with me last week. It's on YouTube, very well done, and they've got something called a ghost box or something that plays audio. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, are they boxes?
Yeah, are they real?
Yeah.
They are real, but we don't use them because I just think it's my personal view of them is it's just the radio stations scanning through the radio stations so fast, and if you say hello, somewhere down the line you're going to get a radio station what's going to go hello.
I think the best ones they actually play the radio at like super speed but backwards as well, so it'll play it backwards, so if a voice does come over on it, then you've got to say to yourself, what is it?
It's that show is very well done, but they never actually get to the point. Like there's never, it's like all these paranormal shows, you never see them actually capture something on film or anything, but they still, I don't know why, they still all resonate with me as being creepy. And
it's the unexpected.
One of the beauty of the programs that exist today for editing stuff is how you can take any sound and slow it down or speed it up and get the desired effect you want. For like in the Bad Ben, you always hear the that kind of like a sound. You'll hear it quite often. Well, that is actually the Bad Ben squeal that came out of my mouth. I took that squeal and I sped it up and slowed. I used that thing. I got so much mileage out of that simple squeal, and just speeding it up and slowing it down. But yeah, that was. I will tell you, I took lemons and I made lemonade, and it worked for me.
Well, talking about the audio, I mean, there was the part in the Steelmanville Road one where Elijah was standing in the doorway, and I didn't hear it. I didn't hear the sound or nothing else. Then you had the fella who come in, who was the one who put all the cameras in, and he played it backwards and got the voice. You know, he got the words out of it and everything else. And I was thinking to myself, why isn't he playing it backwards? Why aren't people watching this? And he did, and he done it. But then again, he couldn't go around, couldn't go and tell anyone, could he? In the end.
No, well, that was funny because you know how they tell you as a child not to run with scissors or a knife? Jessica, who was playing the pregnant version of herself, ran out there with that huge butcher knife and chased him around. I was terrified. I said, please don't trip because I don't want to lose my house because you fall on that knife.
Well, you wouldn't have had to pay him, would you, in the end?
Yeah, well, it depends. If she survived, it would have cost me more.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I'm really enjoying them, and I'm hoping that there's going to be loads of them. You know.
Well, what I always tell the fans is, if you keep watching, I'll keep making, and they're really enjoyable for me to do. Some of what is happening now is we are going to start making films in other locations, and we might also move into we're going to experiment with doing some 30-minute episodes to see if we could do a series of episodes as compared to just movies. So we're going to try a couple things out, but you know, when something works, I'm learning, you kind of stick with it.
Yeah.
So we're not going to stray far from where we've been so far.
Are you going to bring any merchandise out?
We do have. I sell DVDs of the whole 8 set. I'll get your address. I'll send you a copy.
Thank you.
And we also, one of the problems has been shipping from here to the UK was so expensive. And now we have, like if I had big items and I wanted to send, like I had coffee mugs. They were very expensive to ship. But I found a company called Ink to the People, and it's to get T-shirts made. And they ship anywhere, so people can. That's up right now on the website. And the way I found out about them was from a guy called Josh Robert Thompson, and he was the voice of Jeff the Robot, who was a character on the Craig Ferguson show here, the late night show. And Josh worked with him, and he would do voices, and he was this robot character. And he became a fan of the Bad Ben films. So he does a Morgan Freeman impression that is out of this world. And I had him, he wanted to be in the film, but he's in California and I'm on the East Coast. So I had him record the voice in the Haunted Highway, which is the voice, the car has a voice. Yeah. Like when and it's Morgan Freeman's voice, but that is Josh doing the voiceover. So he had a friend that was ill, and he was doing a fundraiser for selling T-shirts, and that's how I found this company, Ink to the People. But yeah, Josh, in the Haunted Highway, what made this fun was I just got this, because Tom Riley is broke throughout this entire series. He's all the money he had, he bought the house with. Then he lost the house, and he's broke. So in the Haunted Highway, he finally gets a car, and he gets cameras installed in it because he's going to be like an Uber driver. That's right. But what he does is he's when he programs the cameras, the car, it's got a voice. And first one is Jeff Goldblum, and Josh does that. He sounds just like him. I said, nah, and I choose the next voice, and it's Kevin Spacey. And it was just when all this broke out about Kevin Spacey. So I said, nah, that's creepy. And the third voice was Morgan Freeman, and that was the voice I kept. So every time he opened a car door, it would say, door ajar, in Morgan Freeman's voice. So... but that was a lot of fun working with him. I've had people that have found this series that are, might be well established in the entertainment business, and they're talking about how much they love the film and were creeped out by things. And it's flattering because I'm thinking, they're overpaying you because I did this for $300, buddy.
Yeah, but I mean, we love them.
Yeah. Do you know what? Some of the best movies have cost the least money.
Well, Paranormal Activity was cheap. Even the original Halloween, I think, was done for $100,000.
Which is not a lot.
Not now.
No.
Yeah, even back then it wasn't a tremendous amount of money. But it's just, it's amazing. And what has happened is because back then, now we have, I might screw up these terms, but it's non-linear editing, I think is what you call it now, where you can you never used to be able to fit on a hard drive of a computer enough footage to make a film. But now it's so easy where you can take. It's like, did you have as children color forms? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Those little. No. Well, then I'll just drop.
Floppy disks.
Floppy disks.
No. It was called color forms. They were like little characters, and you could stick them in a picture, and then you could peel them off. They were vinyl.
I know
what you mean. Somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I consider editing is now. You could take something from here, pick it up, and put it over there. And it's so easy to do. Yeah. And in the old days, you had to do it with film, like they were cutting and splicing, and then they'd make the master copy. Well, now the playing field in a lot of ways has been leveled because average people like myself with that, persist at learning the programs can do unbelievable things. Yeah. Adobe After Effects allows you to create fire where there's no flame. It allows you to do just such amazing things. And everything I do is self-taught. And it's made so that a schlub like me could learn how to do it just by playing around with it long enough.
But it's paying off for you now, which is fantastic. Because I think what you've done is you've hit a niche in the movie scenes there, because where everyone's doing the paranormal investigations and they're all similar. I don't know whether you watch them or not, but they're all similar in the way they're formatted. The hello, welcome, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Now we're going into the house. They do the investigation. They show you the scenes at the end. This is what we've caught and everything else. You don't do that. You just do it. You're just enjoying what you're doing. And that comes across as well. In the film, you can see. I feel like you're just enjoying it. It's not a chore for you.
Well, I will tell you that I definitely enjoy it. It's been a blast doing it, and the reactions of people have been, very rewarding. I do like to do a segment where I'll do these live broadcasts every now and then, where I will take the top 10 reviews I get, and I'll take 5 which are great and 5 which are horrible, and I'll read them. And I do that for entertainment, but there's so many positive comments I get. But I will, if you'll let me tell you one story. I'll give you, for instance, I am banned from being able to comment on Amazon. And I'm going to tell you how that happened. If you're a seller on Amazon and somebody tells you what you're selling is junk, you can't comment back to them and say, well, you're junk, because they'll ban you. But anybody can say anything negative they want about you. Well, when Bad Ben first went up on Amazon, my first 5 reviews were 5 stars. I was in heaven. They were saying, this is great. It was done for no budget. It's fantastic and all. First 5 reviews, 5 stars. Then came the 6th review, 1 star. And the lady writes, this is garbage. This is why people hire crews. People don't make films by themselves. This is absolutely horrible. So I took little offense to that. So I wrote back to her, first thing I did, Amazon allows you to look at, and if people make public, you can see purchases of stuff they've made. So I went to see purchases, this lady who just called my films garbage that she had made. And one of the things she had purchased was wart cream, for like a wart on your hand.
Yeah. See what's coming here.
So I reply to her comment, I'm sorry my films disappointed you so much, and good luck with your warts. Well, she replies, I'll have you know I have a great doctor and my warts are fine. So then what do? I go back and I remove my comment. So all you see is her 2 comments where she says, this film is garbage. You should use a cast and crew. It's horrible. And I'll have you know I have a good doctor and my warts are fine. So she looked like a maniac because I took my comment out. So that was one of the 2 reasons I got banned from Amazon for life. I can never comment. If I go purchase pens from Amazon and the maker of the pens wants me to review them, I can't because I'm banned for life.
Warts and all.
Warts and all.
Oh, that was a terrible joke, Dan. I'll be banned for the jokes. So
that's funny. That.
What are you? You're in the process of making the next film now. I know you're doing around 2 a year at the moment. When's this one due out, or is it you just take your time?
Actually, I was turning films out every May and October, but last year being the weird year it was, I only turned out one, which was The Pandemic, which came out like in the late fall. But this one should be coming out in May. Now, because the distributor is involved, I'm not sure of their process yet because it's the first one I've worked on with them. And so it'll be done in May. I mean, I'm doing it now. Tonight I'll be shooting. And that's the great thing about working with yourself, because number one, your boss might be a jerk to work for, but you can work when you want. So
I don't know. I think it'd be an absolute pleasure to work with you. I think you're funny. You don't take anything serious. Well, you probably do take things serious, but you tend to just be a relaxed and laid back person.
Well, you know, the type of humor I've always enjoyed in entertainment has been self-deprecating humor. And that's a lot of what this is. Tom Riley's making fun of himself. I don't like it when I meet people in life that are self-deprecating and they're not trying to be funny. They're just like down on themselves. I find that depressing. But in the doing it in this realm, I find it funny. And that's what I enjoy doing, because I'm not making fun of anybody else, which a lot of films do. I'm making fun of myself. Or like in a lot of these cases, I'm calling out these demons, because in the attic, when it writes, "This is not your home" in the sand, and I say, "It is my house," and I wipe it out. I had people in the paranormal field that were telling me, "Oh, you don't ever want to do that." And I'm sitting there. I said, "Well, let's put it this way. In real life, if something spelled itself out in front of me, I wouldn't hang around to wipe it away. No, I'd be out of there." Yeah. But there's stuff we tried too that didn't work. Like one of the things was writing on the wall. That didn't work. Like it just didn't look right in our case. But I've seen that employed excellent by some producers. And there's a lot of films out there. And one of the things that I'm being told all the time is stuff to watch. We watched Hell House. I don't know if you saw that. That was good. They've gone on to make several. But I just keep getting people coming to me. Some people will send me ideas. And, you know, normally they're just not my style. So I might not use them, because Tom Riley's got to continue with his character doing the way he does them. And it doesn't always fit with stuff that they suggest, but it's just been an absolute blast. The fans have been fantastic. With people stopping by have always been courteous. And, you know, half the time, sometimes I'll be in the house and I'll see a car pull up in the driveway. They jump out and you see them holding up their phones. So you know they're taking a selfie of themselves. So what I like to do is I try to run to the window and drop my pants and press my butt against the window. So that later they'll get home and say, "Hey, look at the picture I took." That's a butt in the window right there. But I never make it in time.
Oh, that's brilliant. We'll have to try that. Not here, though. That's what I mean. It's brilliant. Nigel, we're going to let you go and just enjoy your life now. You've been in long enough with us. We'd be boring you soon, won't we?
No, I've had a great time. I really have, and that's not a joke. I've really had a good time. Now you've got me wanting to come see that place you're in.
You are more than welcome. We'd love to have you back on the show as well. You know, later on in the year when you bring your film out, we'd love to, you know, have you back on and come and have a full conversation again and have what is it? A Bad Ben Part 2?
What's the one coming out next?
No, I was saying next time you come on. We've had Bad Ben on. And next time we'll have Bad Ben 2.
Maybe I'll have Bad Ben with me.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, don't say that.
Actually, let me tell you. After the next time we talk, this current film I'm on will be finished, and I think the ending to this is going to blow your minds. So that's my challenge now. I have to live up to.
Oh, I'm going to have to watch that.
How about next time we speak to Tom Riley.
What do you reckon,
You
Nigel?
mean you want me? Well, see, the problem is Tom Riley's got a filthy mouth.
Right.
Yeah, but we can use that as a Patreon.
Yeah,
we could do
actually.
that as a Patreon, because what we do is we put these on YouTube as well.
So we can put that onto YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll do. Yeah, I'll say. I know the guy, and he's a real. Well, I can't say it, but.
But what we can do is we'll do that. But before we go, Tom, I'm just calling you Tom again. What am I every week I do this? Nigel, where can people go and on your Facebook? Have you got a YouTube channel, website? If you could give them out for us.
Well, I will tell you that the Facebook page is the most active, and that's Bad Ben Movie. Facebook.com/Bad Ben Movie. That's the most active, but I'm on Twitter at Nigel Bach. I'm on Instagram, Nigel Bach. And let me tell you something, Instagram's a freak show. I don't mind telling you. Twitter's okay. Facebook's okay. But I've been asked more times, Daddy, what are you wearing, when I'm on Instagram? And I don't get it. So, but we also have a page that will be being updated soon. It's badben.com. So that's out there too. So they can find out about us. We got our Patreon on there, our GoFundMe. We also got the order of the movies people should watch. They can get T-shirts and some memorabilia, and it's just fun. But our Facebook live broadcasts tend to be a little fun. So
fantastic.
Let's keep a look out for that.
But thank you so much for inviting me on. I've had a blast.
It's been an absolute an honour. It's been an honour to talk to you as well. And just keep going with them movies. Whatever you do, don't stop, because they are going to be phenomenal. They are, to us, in my mind, they are absolutely superb.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much. You keep watching, I'll keep making.
You're welcome, and thank you for coming on the show. We really do appreciate it.
Okay, have a great day.
Do you know what I've got to say? That was an absolutely fantastic interview with Nigel.
Wasn't he just such a lovely man?
Brilliant. And we could see him on the screen as well, because we had him on the screen, couldn't we? And he, do you know what? What more can you say about him? Fantastic. I really do hope he succeeds.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think he's
Lee,
halfway.
come on, talk.
I'm talking.
I know it's a short time. We've only got a small amount of time. Join in.
I am.
He's halfway there, isn't he?
Yeah. What did you think, Lee? What did you think?
Really nice guy.
He was
like easygoing, so laid back.
Yeah.
Really good.
And I mean, we interviewed him.
Yeah.
And then after the interview, we were still on with him for about 30 minutes, wasn't we? Because he was just such a nice man, so chatty and everything.
So genuine as well.
Yeah. But
really
do you know what? What is it? Bad Ben. Bad Ben. There's so many to remember, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched 3 of them. You've seen a couple of them.
Yeah.
Lee, well,
I'm going to watch them.
you're going to watch them, aren't you?
It's always the way, isn't it?
And hopefully everybody out there who've listened to that interview now tune into Amazon Prime and watch them.
That's right. Well
you know.
worth it.
And please, when you do watch them, don't take them serious. They're not there to be serious.
No.
They're there for fun.
Tell you what though, Jamie.
Yeah.
I've never jumped in a film since I watched The Conjuring. And I jumped in that the first one that I
know.
watched. You told me it was comedy horror.
Yeah.
I jumped out of my skin twice.
Yeah. But do you know what though, Lee?
Yeah.
I watched it, right?
Yeah.
And it was I was on the edge of my seat. The first part of it, I was going, what are you doing going in the building like that on your own? Seriously.
He gets batters and everything and he stays like nothing's happened.
Really good.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
You're gonna message me one night and say to me, Jamie, they were brilliant.
You know.
Yeah.
And they weren't horror comedies. It was just funny.
Really good.
It was.
That's what it's classed as though, isn't it?
Yeah. And what I loved about it, and the same Lee, is he ad-libbed.
Yeah.
It wasn't scripted, it was ad-libbed.
Yeah.
And that what makes it even better.
It does.
I like things like that because it's like, you know. And when I asked him, have you ever been on a paranormal investigation?
No.
No. He's like you.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Oh dear.
Go on,
do you know what?
Can I ask?
Go on.
You watched that on YouTube lately, Lee?
No.
Let's get it in.
Do you know what? I feel sorry for Lee. He comes here, he joins in on the radio show, and we just give him stick.
Hello. He loves
It's
it,
worth
doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job it's only every 2 weeks.
I know, yeah. We'd run out of ideas.
I know.
But yeah, going back to
Nigel.
going back to Nigel, yeah.
Or Tom.
Or
Ben.
This is what confuses
If you're
me.
confused.
You know how confused I get with names. And then we have Nigel Bach on,
Hello.
whose name is Tom Riley in the films,
Yeah.
and it's called Bad Ben.
Hello. If you're not confused now.
You never will be.
Yeah.
But
Confused
no.
you.
Yeah, it's confused me completely. But I mean, I've watched 3 of them. I've watched Bad Ben, Stillmanville Road, and The Way In. But there's more. But they're in an order, and I didn't.
I know. Yeah, I think I watched The Way In first, and then I watched Stillmanville Road. With
the couple.
Yeah,
there was a couple in the house. Yeah.
And then I've watched The Haunted Highway.
I haven't seen that one yet.
And I've watched The Pandemic.
Do you know what? People are going to go crazy for these films.
Yeah. I know.
You're going to get hooked on them.
As Nigel said, though,
go on.
You've got to watch The Pandemic one last.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just wouldn't understand.
No, you wouldn't. I forgot what I was going to say to you now, Lee, because
sorry, Jane.
A certain person ruined it for me.
You'd probably say no anyway.
Yeah, he probably would say. Well, listen, Nigel took up the whole show, and the show was dedicated to Bad Ben.
It was.
And to Nigel Bach, who a phenomenal man, absolutely brilliant man. But it's come to the end of the show, and I hope the listeners out there now listen to the rest of the show and listen to other shows, but go and watch the Bad Ben films on Amazon Prime. And we'll see you next week. So thanks to Lee and thanks to Jonathan. We'll see you all next week.